Have you ever bought something small? A cup of tea, a piece of cloth, a bag of spices, and never wondered who truly controlled it? Have you ever trusted a company, signed a contract, believed in a brand? What if I told you that once in history, a company did not just sell products, it ruled millions of people. It commanded armies, it collected taxes, it decided who would live in power and who would fall. This is a story of when a business became an empire, the story of the East India Company. At its height, it controlled trade worth billions in today's money. It ruled over more than 200 million people. It commanded an army larger than most European nations. It shaped the future of entire continents. But here's the strange part. It began as a simple trading company, not a kingdom, not a nation, a business. In the year 1600, in a cold hall in London, a group of merchants received permission from Queen Elizabeth I to trade in the East. Spices were gold then. Pepper was treasure. Nutmeg could cost more than silver. Europe was hungry for flavor, hungry for wealth. And so the East India Company was born. At first, it was fragile. Ships sailed for months across violent seas. Storms swallowed vessels whole. Sailors died of disease before even seeing land. But profit is a powerful wind. It pushes men forward. In 1608, their ships reached the shores of India. They came with gifts, with smiles, with letters of friendship. The Mughal Empire was strong then, rich, confident. The company asked for permission to trade, nothing more. Warehouses were built, small trading posts appeared. Surat, Madras, Bombay, Calcutta, little dots on a vast subcontinent. But something changed. Trade grew, money flowed. Textiles from Bengal became famous across Europe. Soft cotton, bright colors, delicate craftsmanship. Tea from China passed through their hands. Spices filled their ships. Silver filled their vaults. And slowly, very slowly, the company began to act less like a guest and more like a ruler. But here's a surprising twist. It was not just greed, it was competition. European powers were fighting each other across oceans. The Dutch, the Portuguese, the French. Trade was war without guns, and sometimes war with guns. The East India Company built forts, not to conquer, they said, to protect. They hired soldiers, not to invade, they said, to defend. But defense can turn into ambition. In 1757, something happened that changed everything. The Battle of Plassey. A small battlefield in Bengal. A young British officer named Robert Clive faced the army of the Nawab of Bengal. The company's forces were smaller, but alliances were made. Bribes were paid. Trust was broken. The Nawab was defeated, and then everything shifted. The company did not just trade in Bengal, it controlled it. It collected taxes from farmers. It decided laws. It chose rulers. A business had become a government, and no one had planned for that. London was far away. Shareholders wanted profit. Dividends rose. Investors celebrated. But in India, the story felt different. Farmers faced heavy taxation. Weavers were forced into unfair contracts. Local industries weakened. And when famine struck Bengal in 1770, millions died. Crops failed. Food vanished. But tax demands remained. Profit did not pause. The company had become powerful. Too powerful. Even the British Parliament grew nervous. How can a company rule a land? How can merchants command armies? Scandals filled newspapers. Critics spoke of corruption, greed, moral decay. Something had gone wrong. In 1773, the British government stepped in. Regulating acts were passed. Oversight increased. But the company still ruled. and its territory expanded across India through wars, through treaties, through quiet pressure. It reshaped society. Traditional rulers lost power. New systems of law were introduced. English education spread. Railways were built later under British rule. Telegraphs connected distant cities. Old worlds faded. New ones emerged. Some saw modernization. Others saw loss. Culture changed. Economies shifted. Ancient crafts struggled. Global trade networks deepened. Indian cotton fed British factories. British manufactured goods flooded Indian markets. Before, India had been one of the world's largest economies. After, its wealth slowly drained outward. The company flag flew over forts and ports. Its army marched across plains and mountains. By the early 1800s, it ruled vast territories, a private corporation commanding more soldiers than the British Crown itself. Let that sink in. A company with an army. But power built on imbalance eventually cracks. In 1857, Indian soldiers in the company's army rebelled. The rebellion began in Meerut. It spread like fire. Delhi, Kanpur, Lucknow. The rebellion was brutal on both sides. For months, chaos ruled. And then the British government intervened directly. The rebellion was crushed. The East India Company was blamed. In 1858, its rule ended. The British government took control of India. The company was dissolved. A corporate experiment in empire was over, but its shadow remained. Borders had shifted. Economies had been transformed. Communities had been divided. Histories had been rewritten, and the effects would echo into the 20th century, into independence movements, into partition, into the shape of modern South Asia. Today, when we speak of corporations, we speak of power, of global influence, of profits larger than some nations. We speak of supply chains that cross oceans, of boardrooms far away deciding local futures. And we rarely ask, how much power is too much? The East India Company began with a royal charter, with hope, with opportunity. It promised trade. It delivered empire. It showed the world that business and politics can merge, that profit can shape destiny, that distant decisions can change millions of lives. But here's the deeper question. Was it just greed? Or was it human nature? The hunger for more wealth, more control, more security. The company did not have a beating heart, but the men inside it did. And they made choices. Choices driven by fear, by ambition, by competition, by belief in their own superiority. Before the company, India traded with the world on its own terms. After the company, those terms were rewritten. Before, a merchant sought profit. After, a merchant sought power. Something changed. And that change still lives with us, because the story of the East India Company is not only about the past, it's about systems, about incentives, about what happens when profit stands above people. It asks us to look at our own time, at the companies we trust, at the systems we build, at the power we allow. A business became an empire once, not with a crown, not with a throne, with contracts, ships, ledgers, and guns. History whispers a warning. Power grows quietly, step by step, signature by signature, until one day it is no longer just business. And so we return to that simple question. When you buy something small, a cup of tea, a piece of cloth, a bag of spices, do you ever wonder who stands behind it? Empires are not always built with swords. Sometimes they're built with balance sheets. And in the end, the story of the East India Company is not only about one corporation. It's about us, about how easily ambition becomes domination, how trade becomes control, how opportunity becomes empire. Because when profit has no conscience, power has no limit. And history shows us that the line between business and empire is thinner than we think. If this story made you think differently, subscribe, because the next empire might not come with a flag.